fireside chat with Mr. Timur Talui, CEO of ProTax Pro. Timur, can you hear us?
Yeah, Tony, thanks for having us here.
Yeah, and a CEO of followyourtaxes.com as well, correct?
That's right.
Nice. And on the other side of the chat, we have our very own Executive Director, Mr. Carlos Lopez, Enrolled Agent. Mr. Lopez, how's it going?
It's going great, thanks. Sorry, I got a little bit of a hoarse voice today, but we'll get through it.
Yeah, no, it's all good. We wanted to bring back this fireside chat because last time was engaging. A lot of people were asking questions, and the theme for today is tax season deadline. The new tax season deadline, July 15th, is upon us. Days away. It's less than a month away, right? So a few weeks away. I wanted to start off with Timur. What are you guys doing at your business to get ready for this July 15th deadline?
Well, Tony, I mean, it's kind of uncharted waters. I don't think we've ever seen the tax deadline actually moved out of April 15th. But, you know, one of the things I always like to share is the IRS's filing season statistics. And, you know, let me pull it up here. We have, can you see that? The statistics up there?
Yeah.
We
can see it now.
You know, so one of the things that they are looking here is you look at e-filing receipts right here. Tax professionals are down 15%. That means almost 1 out of every 5 customers still hasn't come in your office, and that's at the beginning of June. And so that means there's a lot of pent up activity. The self-prepared is up 6%, but what they say down here is that total includes returns filed by people who would not usually file tax returns. You know, if you have an economic impact payment and you don't normally file a tax return, you'd have to go to the IRS website and fill out a $1 tax return. We talked about that a couple weeks ago. And so those counted in this total. So this number of 60 million is actually wrong if you do year over year, because it includes millions of people that went online to file for their economic impact payment. So both of these numbers, tax professionals and self-prepared, are down, which means that there's a lot of people out there that still need to come in and file a tax return. And for us, you know, we're just making sure our preparers have the ability to collect the documents electronically, so they don't have to have touch contact points, that they can get their 8879 signed electronically. So again, the taxpayers don't have to come into the tax preparers' offices. You know, we have a lot of great tools in our software out there to enable tax preparers and taxpayers to interact without coming into the office and be able to still do that volume of returns they need to do. I mean, think about it, 1 out of every 5 people haven't come in yet. That's a lot of people.
Yeah.
Do you think, Timur, that because of the whole shelter in place and the world moving to more virtual, that it encouraged taxpayers to embrace the do-it-yourself softwares? It encouraged taxpayers to not visit a physical office, not go to a human and say, hey, let me just go ahead and finally do it yourself, whether it be like TurboTax is the big name, but there's other DIYs out there. I wonder if that plays a part in those numbers.
Well, Tony, you know, if you had asked me 2 months ago, I would have said, yeah. I think we talked about that here, about how our software can enable you to have an online presence. So even if you are like Lopez Tax Service, Carlos has up there in the Salinas area, we can enable that to have a lopeztax.com where you can, you know, go online and file your return yourself. And then if you get stuck, you know, have contact information to get back to Carlos to, you know, get feedback and help. So we enable tax offices to put an online presence out there. And we did a lot of that because, you know, the last couple of years, you've seen an uptick of self-prepared returns each year. But this data right here that's on the screen, this 14%, That was like 17% 2 months ago, which means these people haven't gone online with their taxes. I think they're waiting to come into tax offices. I don't know. What do you think, Carlos? Are you investing in advertising and marketing in your tax offices? What are you telling people?
Yeah, people are calling us. Here's what I think the challenge is. A lot of Americans think that we're still closed. You know, I think a lot of people thought that tax offices were non-essential. So I don't think people are aware that tax offices are open. Just like a lot of these restaurants are having a hard time opening. Bars and all the other, like in our county, hair salons and nail places have barely got the okay to open up this Friday, tomorrow. So we have to get the message out that we're open. And how do we do that? And then it's so hard because, like, those statistics that you just showed, we're in the mix there. A lot of people aren't back. We're down about, I think that figure 14.8%. I think that's us. I was just looking at it the other day. So it is impacting our business. I've noticed driving around town that some other firms aren't open yet. So people are waiting, and procrastinators, come on. One thing that we've always done that we've helped the procrastinator procrastinate, because they know we'll stay open till midnight on April 15th, or like it used to be. And so now they're saying, those guys will be open. I don't have to go till July 15th. Besides, I owe anyway, so I'll just wait. So we're getting the message out. We already started by calling our current clients, contacting our prior year clients who didn't come back yet. So we've already started our marketing campaign to make our clients and their friends and their referrals aware that we are open. We're practicing social distancing. We have sanitizers in all of our offices. We have the thermometers for your forehead to see if you have a fever or not. So a lot of people, I think, are still also afraid to go to places because the media keeps pounding it in. Stay home if you can. Stay home if you can. So I think there's a lot of variables that are still contributing to people not coming out and getting their taxes prepared.
I think you're right, Carlos. It's true. A lot of people don't know what's open and don't know what's closed or how to get services. So
Yeah. Let's talk about amendments a little bit. I know there was some news a few weeks ago. You could now e-file an amendment. Timur, do you know, how does that work?
So the IRS announced, this is revolutionary, that they're going to start accepting amended returns electronically. And so in the past, today, the only way to file an amended return is to print it, sign it, mail it with all the additional attachments. Like if you have to include a new Schedule A or a new 4562 or whatever you need to stack into that amendment packet, send it in. And like right now, the IRS service centers are closed. So even if you mailed it in, no one would open it. And then the IRS tells us there's a real manual process of holding the two returns side by side and making the adjustments in their system. And so the tax industry, tax repairs, industry associations like Latino Tax Pro and softwares like fileyourtaxes.com and Pro Tax Pro, we've advocated for years to the IRS to make this amended return e-fileable, just like a federal return, original filed return is. And so the IRS finally is implementing it this summer. So probably towards the end of the summer, early fall, in your software, you'll probably see the ability to amend a return and submit electronically. There's a few changes. When you amend the return and submit electronically, you submit a whole new 1040. So it's not like where you just submit the forms that changed. You submit a whole 1040 with all the forms and schedules attached. It just goes electronically, so you're not printing it out. It's no extra burden to tax preparer. The software does it all on the back end. And then you'll have to fill out the 1040X, where you have the original return as filed, just like we do now. And the IRS is limiting it to only returns that were e-filed and only 2019 returns. Because you can always amend, years back. But for this beginning year, they're limiting it to returns that were e-filed originally, 2019 tax returns, and next year, they'll make it 2019 and 2020, the year after 2019, 2020, 2021. So they're going to bring it in slowly, but I mean, I think this is a real call out to the IRS and their ability to see the taxpayer need and really getting out there to serve taxpayers. And even during the coronavirus and limited staffing, they've allocated those resources to get that amended return in electronically so they can process it. It's a really great accomplishment.
Yeah, from what we understand, at these campuses at the IRS, they have trailers filled with mail that needs to be opened. And the last estimate I heard was over 10 million pieces of mail still have to be opened and processed by IRS centers.
I mean, that's everything from correspondence. That's correspondence. That's tax returns. That's everything. Amendments.
Yeah. Overall, that's big. And I know the IRS is announcing as they're reopening a lot of their offices and a lot of their operations. But it's a journey. It's a journey that it's like everyone's kind of going to that July 15th deadline. But then after that, Timur, do you know what's going on with October 15th? Has that been extended also? Has the extension been extended, or is it the same?
Excuse me, guys, I'll be right back.
Yeah, no, the October 15th hasn't been extended. And, there was even a rumor we talked about a month ago where people were thinking that maybe the July 15th would be extended again, but we haven't heard anything about that. A lot of people are also concerned about the payments with the fact that the July 15th deadline is there. So I've been doing a little bit of reading at the IRS website, and there's some good information, but basically you can still file a 4868 extension until July 15th. So if you need to get out to October 15th, like you're asking, Tony, you can still file that 4868 extension just like you would have normally before April 15th. But no, it doesn't extend out past October 15th. It just hits the October 15th date. But again, we also have to remember that, filing an extension is just an extension of time to file, right? It's not an extension of time to pay. And so I'll just share this on my screen too. The thing here, we've got, let me see if I can pull it up here. Can you see that, Tony? It says the question, if I'm unable to file my 2019 return by April 15th or June 15th.
I see it. Yeah. Let's see what it says.
So that's the one about the extension. And there was one about payments, and it said as long as you make a payment before the July 15th, then you get that automatic extension to pay. So it said you didn't even have to pay the full amount and you get the extension. And then penalties and interest would start on July 16. So if you didn't pay the full amount, or, here it says, the extension only gives you right here time to pay. It does not give you time to pay beyond the 15th. If you don't pay your taxes by July 15th, you'll be subject to interest and penalties from 16th to the date of payment. So, it really goes again to the importance of, estimating your taxes correctly. And if you owe taxes, to make sure that you pay those taxes on that deadline, which is July 15th.
Got it. Regarding estimated taxes, do you know, Timur, is it true that if you want, you could, instead of paying every 3 months, every quarter, you could actually pay every month and you could pay into the tax? system every month, you know?
Well, think about it. If you get a paycheck, right? Every time you get a paycheck, there's a federal income tax withheld, state income tax withheld, Social Security, Medicare. So those get paid to the government every time you get paid,
Ah,
right? So for a lot of people, you know, they're making payments every week or every other week or every month. So if you're a small business or self-employed, or you actually have a need to make estimated payments, yeah, you can make those estimated payments as frequently as you want. The requirement, though, you know, is quarterly, unless you have you can make the case where, you know, your income comes in different periods, that we all know. But the thing that's it's funny, I was just talking to a guy at a food truck last night. He owns a food truck, and he was telling me, you know, wow, they have this July 15th date, and I owe my 2019 tax payment that was due on April 15th. I owe my first 2 quarters of estimated for 2020. He's like, I have 3 tax payments due on July 15th. How am I supposed to pay for that? And I said, well, you know, I don't know, but
yeah.
a lot of people should be aware that, you know, if you owed money on April 15th from your 2019 return, and if you're going to go owe estimated, it's like Carlos was talking about, a lot of people that haven't filed because they owe. It could be a pretty big, you know, check to write for the three payments that would come due on July 15th.
Yeah, you know, and that's the thing, is just because that's when the deadline is, you don't have to wait until the deadline to make all those payments. I've heard some best practices for sole proprietors, those contractors, where they just make those monthly payments, and they kind of see it as another monthly expense, paying their estimated tax, and they make these monthly payments. So instead of being maybe $3,000 in 3 months, it's only $1,000 a month, and they kind of manage their cash flow that way. So that's a good tip for everybody listening, that you, if you want to make your payments more frequently, you can.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's all about cash flow.
So do you have any questions on Facebook, Tony? We usually get a few questions from folks.
Yeah. So I see a question here saying, what do you recommend I should do for the last few weeks of tax season? So I'll ask Mr. Lopez that, if you're a tax office, Mr. Lopez, what should people be doing right now to bring in those clients, make sure they come in and get their taxes filed?
Yeah, what we highly recommend is most software packages will allow you to run a report about who didn't come back. And we pre-schedule all of our appointments, so we can look at our scheduling spreadsheets and see, oh yeah, we had so-and-so scheduled from April, March 21st till now, and they haven't come in yet. So for a busy tax office, to get even busier, call your clients, email, text, find ways to get a hold of them and say, you know what, we're open, and come on in, let's take care of you. And then also, if you need if you did your returns earlier in the year and you need them amended, we can do that for you now, 2019 returns, and we can electronically file them, because you don't want to mail anything in. Our clients that have estimated payments, we're recommending that they e-file their estimated payments. Don't put them in one of those trucks that has tens of millions of pieces of mail stuck in it. You know, unfortunately, I see a disaster in the makings here. So e-file as much as you can, and start getting your records together. June 15th will be here before you know it. July 15th, I'm sorry, will be here before you know it. As far as other extensions are concerned, as far as partnerships and corporations, those didn't change. We're talking about personal returns. So go see an enrolled agent, a CPA, or a tax attorney to get qualified advice on what to do next.
Nice. That makes sense. And on your end, Timber, you as a software company, it's interesting to hear how you happen to navigate. Like, did you have to update your system? Did you have to change your operations or software to adjust to the new deadline?
Yeah, I mean, we really had to do a lot to accommodate the deadline because all of our email communications, all of our screens, all of our warnings that were all keyed to April 15th. I mean, if you filed a tax return in March and said you wanted to pay in July, we would be standing up all of these errors and warnings and saying, whoa, stop, 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 because, we wanted to make sure people knew that they were putting themselves in a situation where they would be subject to penalties and interest possibly, right? So it was a lot of change and also, answering questions from tax preparers and taxpayers. What does it mean? I mean, just this question about when does interest start? I think it was one of the questions that was submitted for our call today. If they don't have the money to pay in July 15th, how much interest are they going to have to pay? And the IRS says if you make a payment before, then the interest starts accruing on July 16th instead of April 16th. So just like so many questions and so many things like that people need information for. And my guess, I don't know how you feel, Carlos, but April 1st is when taxpayers wake up and they show up in your offices, they start calling. They don't call on March 31st, they don't call on March 28th. I think July 1st is going to be the day. I think everybody's going to wake up, like you said, Carlos, they're going to realize tax offices are open on July 1st and then come running in the door.
Yeah, it's going to be a flood.
And I think with all the social distancing, tax offices should be ready. You should be prepared to. I mean, Carlos, you told the story about how you had people in their cars. They register their cell phone, and then you'd call them when their slot was ready, so you didn't have a line out the door like usual.
Yeah, that's what we did this year to maintain the social distancing. Was you could walk in. We have these round circles on the floor that says, please maintain 6 foot. So they'd come in, say, okay, I'm here to get my taxes prepared. So the receptionist would get their cell phone number and say, okay, I'm gonna have to ask you to sit in your car because our lobby's not big enough to hold everybody in here. And we'll call you to come on in and get your taxes prepared, because in the early stages of this, remember, we can only have 10 people in the office at a time. And we have a large office on Davis Road that I think it's 12 tax preparers in that office. So right there, we've already passed the 10 limit. So what do you do with that case? You have to stagger your employees. You have to stagger the schedule, the time schedule, so that people can come in and get their taxes prepared. And yeah, it's been challenging, I'm telling you. And I think it's going to be the same way here in a few days. Once July 1st rolls around, I know we have July 4th holiday coming around because they're already setting up all the fireworks stands around here. So it's pretty cool. I know my grandson's going to love it.
I think the tax offices need to think about it and figure out how they're going to handle if 15% of their customers come in, those 2 weeks of July 1st to July 15th. How are you going to handle it and make sure that you're complying with your local rules about being open? You have that spacing. I mean, a lot of restaurants, they opened up and all of a sudden everybody showed up and, they didn't do so well. In other restaurants, they had a plan, they had taken over their parking lot, or they had, set up lines, like you said, or texting services for when the table's ready. And those are the ones that are succeeding. So I think a tax office needs to think about what they should do to prepare.
Yeah, what they did in Carmel is they're shutting down, let's say they're going to shut down 7th Street today. So that way those restaurants can put their tables outside for social distancing and have outside table service. Then tomorrow they'll move it over to 8th Street and allow the restaurants there to open up and have outside service in those, and they're rotating the streets. So, people are being very creative with this, and I think it's a good idea. I like it.
Yeah, they shut down our downtown, which was nice too for the restaurants. So that's great. Have any more questions from the crowd, Tony? Any more Facebook questions?
No, and a question for the crowd is, you guys that are here with us, what are you guys doing in your tax office to get ready for this wave of people that are going to come in? You know, it's the deadline is coming up. Are you putting up some plexiglass? Are you putting up separating the desks? Because we want to know it's things are going to get interesting. We want to make sure that you guys are safe. So let me make sure here in the comments, just a few comments saying thank you for the tips. I look forward to the end of tax season finally arriving. Cool. Oh, here we go. Silvia Yanes is asking for I-10 applications. We still have to mail them in, right? There is no way to send them electronically?
That's right.
No, W-7s are still a manual process
Yeah.
administered by the IRS. So it's their baby, it's their systems, it's their processes. And yeah, we just have to deal with it.
It's probably one of those trucks full of mail, huh?
I think they go through their Austin service center, so probably pretty packed.
Got it, got
Sure.
it. And then just some more comments. Thank you for these Facebook Lives. Please keep them up. Awesome. Well, thanks everyone. Timur, Mr. Carlos Lopez for being with us here today. And
Thank you.
in the meantime, everyone listening, this video will stay on Facebook, will stay on YouTube. So drop some comments, let us know if you have any questions, and we're here to help. So stay safe out there, Timur and Carlos, and we'll see you soon.
All right, you
Good to
too,
see you,
Tony.
Tony.
Stay safe.
Bye.
See you guys.